Hey guys, Colin here, and I'm back with a late video for my records, books, movies, and antiques, and various knickknacks, whatnots, and whatever everybody collects these days. Lots of stuff. I should just rename this channel Lots of Stuff. Anyway, I had a nice trip this week to California, as some of you may know. I went out there with Doug and Al from Al's Horror Shop, and we was there for about 3-4 days, and I was doing some filming. I have I was an extra in a film called Candy Corn. It's a horror movie, and I'm not going to get too much into it right now because I had to sign a disclosure agreement. So whenever they say that I can post pics, or we can post pics of the everything, then I will. Just got to be patient, I guess. It was a lot of fun anyway. We had lots of fun. I got to see lots of things and meet some new people and some great actors over there. And that's it. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Al over there at Al's Horror Shop gave me this Fright Night soundtrack autographed by, at the moment, I can't recall. I think it might be the director. I can't quite make out the... I should have messaged him before this video and asked, I forgot who autographed that record. Sorry about that, Al. I'll figure it out later. And next we have I was listening to, I went to the record store today, and over the speakers they were playing something, and after a while I got to listening to it, and I was like, hey, this sounds pretty good. It almost has that 60s, 70s psychedelic vibe to it, but it's a little bit harder. Like, it's more metal, but at the same time not too hard. And when I was checking out, I asked the guy behind the counter at the Love Garden, one of these days I'll remember his name. Been going there for years. Anyways, I asked him, I said, who's this playing over your speakers? And he said it's a band called Ohm. And I said, Ohm, you mean like OHM? And he said, no, OM. And he said, well, let me show you. And he took me back to the records, and this is what he was playing over these speakers. Ohm, God is Good. It's not a religious album at all. And this came out, and it says it was recorded in 2009 by Steve Albini at Electrical Audio Chicago, March 2009. Right there, and it's got 4 long tunes on it, appears, but it sounds really good, and I enjoyed it for being just now learning about them. And next we have Bob Marley and the Wailers, Uprising. Here is an original master recording of the Beatles, Abbey Road. One of these days I want to go take my picture at this sidewalk like everybody does. Well, maybe I could just use my green screen, and maybe they have a picture without them guys in it, and I can make it look like I'm walking across that iconic sidewalk there. And here's one, I just grabbed it because of the cover. I've heard of this lady, I think, but I really like the cover. Some of these I put in album frames and put on the wall, and this is, are you ready for some Jackie Del Shannon? For this, Jackie Del Shannon. It really has that 60s look to it. Jackie Del Shannon. And we have some soundtracks next. This is the soundtrack to Blade Runner. I don't. I'm very worried about the new one that's getting ready to come out. I don't know if it's going to quite live up to what this movie became, sort of a cult classic over the years. And I'm a little worried that the next one might not be as good. And I guess we'll find out here when it comes out this summer. And here, I already have this, but this is the Easy Rider Canadian pressing. I don't know why it's Canadian. I don't know why I even grabbed it, because I already have like 2 of these, but it said Canadian pressing. And you know, sometimes you get all excited about getting a different pressing of something. This is just one of those records. The original that I have used to be my uncle's, and he would play it all the time, and we would watch this movie every time it came on our 4 channels that we got with the foil on the antennas and everything way back in the day. Easy Rider would come on, and then he had this album that we would listen to together at night. And that's what we did. We listened to records and the radio, because after midnight, or at midnight, the national anthem would come on, and these jets would be going by and all that. And that would be the end of TV. Here's a good soundtrack by Ennio Morricone, and that's for the original soundtrack recording of Once Upon a Time in the West. That's a very good movie. If you're into westerns, this is a really good one. It has that good, the bad, and the ugly vibe to it. It's a Sergio Leone film, Leone. It has Claudia Cardinale, Henry Fonda, Jason Robards, and Charles Bronson. And if you haven't seen this movie, well, you might not have if you're one of the younger folks out there, I highly recommend watching this. It's a really good movie. The spaghetti western vibe. And here we have the original motion picture soundtrack to Here We Go Around the Mulberry Bush. And check out those guys' outfits there. They're really excited for his flowery butterfly collar shirt there. Looks like he's got his pants, are they rolled up? No, they're just high waters. and this has the Spencer Davis Group and Traffic in it, and you all know about those guys, I hope. Spencer Davis and Traffic are almost the same group, except Traffic got a little more rock and roll, a little psych in there maybe. And next we have a movie that I picked up in Riverside when I was there, Riverside, California. That's a really nice town over there. It has lots of palm trees everywhere, obviously. And it was 93 degrees, and it was a dry heat. And I'm starting to get arthritis in my knees. And the whole time I was there for 4 days, my knees did not ache even once. And I don't know if it's the altitude there or the dry air, but my joints didn't hurt anymore after being there for a few days. And to come back here, and it's 100 degrees, and it's humid, my clothes are hanging off of me all damp. And well, they're kind of damp all the time, but anyway, and my knees started hurting again, and I'm like, maybe I need to move over there to the home. Anyway, I got this movie set of When Horror Came to Shochiku. I hope I'm saying that right. I don't know if they pronounced their CH with the S or not. It might be Shochiku, or it's either Shoshiko or Shochiku. I'm not sure. But this is a box of classic Japanese horror films. The X from Outer Space, Gok, Body Snatcher from Hell, The Living Skeleton, and Genocide. There we go. Following years of a certain radioactive beast's domination at the box office, Godzilla, many Japanese studios tried to replicate the formula with their own brands of monster movies. One of the most fascinating, if short-lived, dives into that fiendish deep end was the one by Shochiku, a studio better known for elegant dramas by the likes of Kenji Mizoguchi and Yasujiro Ozu in 1967 and 1968. The company created 4 certifiably batty, low-budget fantasies, tales haunted by watery ghosts, plagued by angry insects, and stalked by aliens, including one in the form of a giant chicken lizard. Shochiku's outrageous and oozy horror period shows a studio leaping into the unknown, even if only for one brief, bloody moment. And there's 4 movies in here of these. This one's the X from Outer Space. The Gok Body Snatcher from Hell. The Living Skeleton, and Genocide. That looks like it's going to be some cheesy fun going on there. And next I have some books. I did come across 20 more of those Dell Ace double covered science fiction novels today, but I'm going to save those till next time because I think I've got about 50 or 70, 80 of those books now, and it's piling up, people. Anyway, and I also picked up these here, which are Edgar Rice Burroughs paperbacks. And this one is The Moon Maid, Edgar Rice Burroughs. You might know him from Tarzan. And here we have Edgar Rice Burroughs, At the Earth's Core. And here's a kind of a strange one. The Eternal Savage, Edgar Rice Burroughs. While visiting Tarzan and his African jungle home, an American girl falls into the most astonishing science fiction adventure of all. By a quirk of time, a white-skinned savage from the Stone Age is thrust forward to modern days, long enough to meet her and bring her back to his own world of cave people, saber-toothed tigers, and prehistorical wilderness. The Eternal Savage, the story of the Neocene, and Victoria Custer of Nebraska, USA. Victoria Custer. Why would she have that name? Anyway, USA, 2 human beings pitted against the world of the primeval past. From Tarzan to the Paleolithic era, it's Edgar Rice Burroughs all the way. And I didn't even realize that he made a science fiction Tarzan. But there it is. And next I just have a couple of decorations. These are music note books, whatever you call them. And this one I just thought was interesting because it says a signal from Mars. It's kind of science fiction-y, and it has these 2 characters in their robes and whatnots with the telescope. I don't know if they're supposed to be on Mars, but they're looks like a spotlight or a beam back onto Earth. It's a march in 2-step. It's music, pages, and that's just very interesting. And here's another one. I'm going to show it here, and I don't want anybody to get offended. I just picked it up because I really like stuff like this, and to some people it's going to seem quite offensive, but back in those days they were quite offensive. Back in those, this is like from, I don't know, way back in some early 1900s, I would assume. And don't get pissed off. A genuine ragtime hypnotizer. Hypnotized, and I'll just let you kind of look at it. I'm not even gonna say anything. But I thought it was kind of, it's not a neat part of history, but it is a part of history. Like this, I thought this should be in some sort of museum collection somewhere, even where they have this type of the way that people thought back in them days, and they didn't really think anything bad about it. And that's it on those, and that's my video for tonight. And until next time, Colin over and out. And weirdos unite.